Hello, everybody, and welcome to another installment of Aftermath Hours, the weekly podcast of Aftermath.site, a worker-owned, reader-supported website about video games, the internet, and everything that comes after. Aftermath is for the moment fully reader-supported, so if you like what you hear, you can subscribe on the website. There's a big button. It's easy to find. Or if you don't have a ton of money right now, we'd really appreciate it if you could review the show on Apple, Spotify, or wherever else you listen to podcasts. I am Nathan Grayson, and today I'm joined by Gita Jackson.
What's up? I'm Gita.
That is
That's who I
Gita.
am. I'm still Gita. After all this time, it's still me.
And special guest, Kat Abughazaleh, who is a journalist turned recent congressional candidate. And now
Now no
you're
longer a
doing a
congressional
bunch of things.
candidate.
Yeah. What are you up to currently?
Well, right now I am in a Seattle hotel because I and several of my staff members launched Kapow, which is the name of our organization that's keeping our mutual aid hub open, which was also our campaign office doubles as a mutual aid hub, as well as working with campaigns that want to implement a similar structure. It was the number one persuader for undecided voters and the number one volunteer recruitment tool. And then also working with Common Power, which is based here in Seattle, to launch volunteers all over the Midwest for especially purple races and like party changing progressive races. Chicago is like the best place to do that, and we have a space, and so we really want to turn it into a third space for the community as well as impacting as many campaigns as we can.
Hell yeah. Well, yeah. So also for people who maybe have not followed, your recent goings on so closely, you obviously, again, ran for Congress in Illinois, came up very, very close in the primary. And so, yeah, I mean, just, again, fill people in. How did you get started there? And then what was the experience kind of like overall?
You asking for a TLDR?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry. Sum it up. Sum it up for the crowd.
Yeah.
Before all of this, I was a researcher and journalist covering the far right. I started my career at Media Matters. Then I got laid off after Elon Musk sued us. So I was specifically covering Tucker Carlson and Fox News. Then I worked for Mother Jones, Teo News, People for the American Way. And then I decided to launch my campaign because I was like, no one in the Democratic Party leadership is willing to listen to us about how to handle the right. And that's my job. So I launched my campaign, and everyone says they want to do politics differently, but we actually did. First off, we did what every progressive candidate should do. We didn't accept any money from corporate PACs, from Republican funded PACs like APAC, or from billionaires. In fact, we learned that there was like one billionaire on our FEC reports for some reason. We had over 65,000 donors, so it was kind of hard to keep track. So we made sure to donate that money to a local food bank instead. We also used our campaign office as a mutual aid hub because I firmly believe that politics should be a team sport and it should involve other people. And the number one thing that fascists want is for you to feel helpless. And so instead, we were like, hey, you aren't just a means for like $5 over text or just knocking doors. You can also paint your nails with us before the Bears game, or you can help us do a park cleanup, or you can help us organize diapers for families that need them. Our first event, we didn't ask for monetary donations. We asked for boxes of tampons and pads. We ended up collecting over 5,600 period products for the Chicago
Wow.
Period Collective. And to this day, we still have dozens of people coming in anytime our office is open to get what they need. Dozens might be an underestimation right now, honestly. One of the coolest moments in the past few months was we had 10 different people in the mutual aid hub part of our office speaking 10 different languages, just getting what they needed for their families. And the result was we came in second in a field of 16, I believe, closer to first than third. APAC dropped $1 million on us in the last week. They also had to debut some tactics that we've never seen before, like positive ads for progressive candidates that weren't as viable, which, as much as all of this sucks, it's kind of a point of pride. And I'm glad that we could also force them to show their hand before they tried all these tricks later on in the election cycle. We also had like a weird dark money influencer scheme that happened that still like hasn't been fully reported on, but is so wild. If Aftermath wants any scoop on that, let me
Yeah,
know.
Oh my God.
I'm very interested Please
I'm
tell me
yeah,
more
it's
after we
exactly
are
I'm
done with the stream.
obsessed with the woke ginger. My husband,
Eh,
who Hasan Piker is kind of obsessed with. He reads my husband's tweets every single day on stream. It's absolutely wild. But my husband would not believe that the woke ginger was a real man. The
eh.
whole time I was telling him about the woke ginger, I watched him listen and then I watched his face change. And he was like, wait, that's not like a guy you've made up, is it? That's a
It also
real
that sounds
guy.
like an urban legend. Like
we
beware
had
the
like
woke
so
ginger.
many characters like on the campaign. Like we had like secondary side characters and like tertiary side characters, which I think the woke ginger falls into. For those who don't know, there was like this dossier that just straight up had a bunch of lies about myself and my friends and my family. In fact, it attacked us for having a mutual aid hub. Once again, Nathan, I will send you so much shit on
Yes,
this.
please.
But it's like this person online had essentially read the thing word for word, and they were being offered at least $1,500. The person that came forward about this in the first place, who was a
Wow.
different creator, and he deleted it. But it was just a very weird, a weird time. We also had a lady that kept throwing up on our doorstep. We had the Republican candidate that kept trying to give me like weird gift bags for when I'm in prison. Oh yeah, also in the TLDR, I got federally indicted. My trial is May 26th. Come hang. It's gonna be really dumb. And got the shit beaten out of me a bunch by ICE, as did many Chicagoans. And now I'm working on this organization Kapow, as well as my own, going back to covering the right as well. Right now I'm working on a video being like, coming from a literal Tucker Carlson expert, do not trust this man. Just don't. He doesn't
Yeah.
care about you. He
Yeah.
doesn't care about the movement. He doesn't care about any of this. He is not going to change his mind. He is a white Christian nationalist, and we have to come to terms with that.
Yeah. No, I think people really want to believe that he's like finally, turning to the light side or whatever.
No,
Or
but
just I think that
also
people really find it
He's a grifter.
like anybody who's even left of center finds it incredibly validating when somebody who's on the right is like, actually, I'm breaking rank for a moment. And it's like, okay,
but
but they're
in
doing that just to get attention. They're not
and
doing
in
that
that
because they actually have
case,
changed their mind. They don't
I
have
I
principles.
I don't want to welcome them into the movement in that case also. What I
And
would
like,
say
Yeah.
if you like genuinely made amends is like, okay, Granny, we're gonna take you to the retirement home. Like and oh, for
and
this
here's
I
the
will not
thing.
string you up in the town square. Thank you. That's the best you're gonna get from me.
But here's the thing, like, I genuinely believe in people's capacity to change. I mean, I've talked to a lot about it. I grew up Republican. My parents, like my mom grew up in like her mother was a Republican operative, and she changed her mind when she was like 50 when she was exposed to new information. Because I always say like ignorance, the effects are super negative, but it itself is completely value neutral. I mean, Tucker knows what he's doing. He's not ignorant. But like if you truly, truly change your beliefs, cool, you gotta like earn any sort of goodwill here, and you gotta like take a back seat and be like, okay, I'm gonna just like help and not expect applause and not expect to be like the leader of whatever this is. He doesn't give a fuck about Palestinians. I say as a Palestinian person, he doesn't give a fuck about like Epstein or any of this shit. He is a vile, vile person. You can't trust him.
Yep. He's a little worm of a man.
And
And he
he's
always
got
has
stupid bow
been.
ties.
That's how he's managed to get ahead and stay ahead.
I remember it
Mhm.
Um,
was him on Crossfire back in the day when Jonathan
Yeah,
Stewart called them both
yep.
out
yeah.
Which
for the tendency of news 24-hour news cycles to use conflict as a way to get viewers. Essentially,
and
Crossfire
for
was a
that
show where they
reason,
had a liberal and a
We
yeah,
conservative
haven't
on
watched the
there.
Jon Stewart
Yeah,
Tucker
yeah, for
Crossfire.
that reason, that means that Tucker Carlson also has a guest appearance on an episode of 30 Rock.
This is true. This is true.
Yep.
I should also mention that I only met my partner Ben because Tucker Carlson got fired. That's how we met. It is the most like dysfunctional brain rot love story, but we both covered the far right. And when Tucker got fired, as someone that covered him for a living, it was like truly the best day of my life. Like dangerous amounts of dopamine. And Ben and I were both in a group chat for people who had been like harassed or like had their lives made worse by Tucker Carlson. And I called him and he told me that like he may get married one day, he might have kids, and he'll say it's the best day of his life, but he's lying because the day Tucker Carlson got fired is the best day of his life.
I
And
remember like being on planes and leaving a plane when Tucker still had a show on Fox. Like I think this is like important to highlight the lengths this man was willing to go to enrich himself and empower himself. And it would like he would paint targets on individual human beings. He would paint targets on individual schools and like people. He was like very effective communicator, and that he made a
And
really
so
good
does
TV
hospital.
show. Yeah,
Mhm.
he made a television show that people could not stop watching. I remember being on a plane and leaving and seeing on the backs of different seat backs just Tucker Carlson's face on different dozens of screens. If this guy is saying anything that aligns with left wing values, it's because he wants eyeballs, and that's the only
Mhm.
reason he's saying this stuff.
Also, I'm turning off my camera real quick. I just gotta grab something.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Well, also to your point, the other thing that he doesn't have going for him anymore is the institutional backing that allowed him to appear on Fox. And
Yes.
so he's got to play the influencer game of
Yeah.
always changing things up
Yep.
like
I mean,
regularly to keep people's
Candace does
attention.
this too. Candace
Yeah.
Owens, like every 6 months, well, maybe it's a bit faster soon, like once a quarter, maybe, she'll say something that is broadly true and popular. And it's
Mhm.
because she wants people like us to take clips of her and post them on our social media and be like, see, even she gets it. But what you do there is you're giving credibility to her. And that's
Mhm.
not, we don't need to make her seem credible. She's an insane person.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like moving the Overton window back in your direction, but only so that they can like pull more.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
Yeah.
also
absolutely.
don't think that you deserve applause for being against genocide.
No.
Yeah,
No. I think
I think that's
that's actually
like
the bare minimum.
it truly
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Babies are against genocide implicitly, and I'm not clapping for them. They've done nothing.
They're shitting themselves.
Yeah, exactly. But okay, with all of the introduction stuff out of the way, we got to start with the most important question, which is that Kat, I believe it was yesterday you posted that you have a really good video game idea. What
Yeah.
is it?
So I didn't want to post it because I didn't want someone to like use AI to make it. But just bear with me here because I had a dream about this and I think it'd be really fun.
Great.
Okay.
The title, and I want to say I put this out into the ether because I have the privilege of having a very large platform, and if someone is like, "Damn, I could really use a video game idea," I got you. Um, it's called "Don't Let the Kitties Out," and
Okay.
it's a platformer,
Okay.
and uh, every single level is like a different type of event, like moving day or like girls' night or a party. And every level you have another cat in your house that you've adopted. So it kind of has the same like story progression as like
Mhm.
unpacking, you know? And
Hmm.
you have to keep the kitties from going out of the front door and then also make sure that they're not getting into mischief, like putting their little paws on a hot stove or eating people's food. Um, I think it'd be really fun, and like you can have at most 3 cats in your arms at one time. It'd be really cute, and I personally want to play the shit out of that.
Hmm. So
Interesting.
almost
Interesting.
like Pikmin with cats. And then
Hmm.
like there's a splash of eugenics in there somewhere. I almost
Yeah,
just said eugenics, but the
absolutely.
name of the game is Mugenics. Um,
There's no eugenics in this video game. There's
yeah,
eugenics in
thankfully.
many other video games, but not this one. No,
And
that
many
Yeah.
sounds
parts of real life.
yeah, yeah. I like the idea of a Pikmin like, but with cats. That
Yeah.
Yeah,
sounds really nice. And also there's been so many puzzle platformers about various topics, but I think the more mundane the idea of your puzzle platformer is, the better. There was this stretch of time when I kept like every day got an email in my inbox that was like, please play my puzzle platformer about depression. And this is a much I think no, we got to go back to cats. We got to go back to like cute little animals and stuff like that.
like
Those
Little
are the
Kitty's Big
things.
City was a revelation.
Yes, absolutely. It turns out that a lot of what I want out of a video game is to live in the perspective of a cat
Yep.
and
Yeah,
to think about cats while I'm doing it. It
right.
just improves every game.
And like I personally understand what it's like when you have a cat that wants to dart out the front door because she wants hallway time and she wants to go scratch, 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 scratch on the
Hmm.
carpet in the hallway. I can't even imagine what it's like to have a house and a cat that wants outside time.
Yeah.
Oh my
So, I think that once you're at the point where you have like 7 or 8 cats, which seems like a normal amount of cats to have, it'd be really fun and chaotic.
Wait, and then actually, this can be an unofficial or maybe official prequel to Stray, because if one of the cats gets out, they become a stray. That
Now we're
was a
talking.
stupid joke.
Now we're cooking.
Anyway, this is going to be a very
It's a
unstructured
stupid
episode of the
joke,
show.
unlike all the other jokes you've told in your lifetime,
Yeah,
Nathan.
exactly. That was the
This is
first,
what
the
Stray
first
is
bad
about.
one of
It's
many to
just
come.
about being a stray cat in normal times.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah,
yeah. I
famously.
think just like I really do think the perfect video game in a lot of ways is just like first person you are a cat
Hmm.
and you have the abilities
To
that
be
a cat
clear,
has. Yeah.
this game, you are not the cat, you are the
Okay.
gardener in Untitled
Mhm.
Goose Game. You are trying to
Oh.
keep the cats from getting out.
Huh.
I
I
see.
actually really
I
like
see.
that. And
Yeah.
okay, maybe then the
It's
perspective
kind of
could
like a
actually switch to
reverse.
being one of the cats, and it could be a goose game take on cats, because cats like do different mischief than a goose would, and so it
Exactly.
opens up some really fascinating possibilities
I
within
think.
that kind of like gameplay
Okay.
loop.
What other
And
indie games would you like rather to be about cats?
Oh, this is a good question.
let
Yeah.
me see if I can pull up my save
Um,
here real quick.
let's see.
Is it on my laptop? I don't think it is because it was.
I mean, Hades is an easy one because you could just call it like kitties.
We already have
Um,
kitties.
I mean,
Why
there
are
are
you
cats in
saying there
Hades.
aren't
That's
kitties
true.
in
You have like
Hades?
cat, or
Familiars.
pets or whatever. Familiars,
Yeah.
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 No. What's like the most serious indie game? Because I want that to just star a cat and otherwise be completely the same.
I'm gonna pull up Twitch because I want to.
Undertale, but the main character is a cat.
Yeah, although you're already getting pretty close to it, because Undertale already has like animal people.
Yeah, but not cats
Oh man, here we go.
specifically.
Not an indie game. Yakuza, the entire Yakuza series, but Kiryu is instead like
A
a
cat.
cat.
Oh, it's a stray cat in
Yeah.
Shibuya, and they're just hanging out, and they need to make friends. Sorry, the ideal narrative. Okay, my mother. I think I'm gonna blog about this for next week. But my mother-in-law has a specific genre of story that she likes that she calls "Bunny Rabbits Go to the Beach," and the idea is. Bunny rabbits go to the beach. They're not stories without tension, but everything is very light. The bunny rabbits are having a picnic on the beach. Oh no, a big wave is coming and it washed away some of their food. But that's okay because the bunny rabbits remembered that the real picnic on the beach is the friendship they've gained
I
along the
love
way.
that.
Yes, yes. And so we now, when we try to watch movies with her, we look at everything through the lens of, is this a bunny rabbits go to the beach story? Because some stories that are cozy are still not bunny rabbits go to the beach.
That's
Hmm.
just like every like Miyazaki film.
Yes.
Right,
I've
right.
been trying to get her on Miyazaki. She is skeptical about anime, but I think I could show her Kiki's Delivery Service and
Mhm.
she would be like, "This is the bunny rabbits go to the beach story."
Okay, here we
I
go.
showed my mom what's the anime about bathhouses, about Roman bathhouses. It's really good. Hold on.
We're gonna discover it
Yeah.
live on air.
Yeah, this
That's
is also a great thing to Google. But no, an idea I
Uh,
just had.
oh,
Grave of the
Nerime
Fireflies, but starring
Rome.
cats.
And so it was the manga was written by a Japanese woman who studied abroad in Italy and she fell in love with the bathhouses and then compared them to like onsen. And so she wrote this entire thing where it's from the perspective of a Roman bathhouse architect, and he keeps getting sucked into like vortexes that bring him into like modern day Japan or even like slightly older Japan, and he like adapts Rome, like he sees like a TV in like a Japanese bath company like showroom, and he's like, wow. So he puts like an aquarium in a bath because he's like, you can watch something now. Or
incredible.
like making eggs in like the hot spring water. It's a great show. Anyways, my mom liked
Yeah,
it.
that actually sounds
I
pretty
have to
good.
watch that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
It's on
so
Netflix.
I I love anime.
yeah. Anime's
Yeah.
okay. But
What's the
okay.
tattoo that you have, Nathan? Can you explain that tattoo you have?
Oh, my Yu Yu Hakusho tattoo?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's based on the anime Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah.
Specifically Hiei, who, by the way, would make a great cat.
Oh my
That's his
god.
personality anyway.
I have
But
I blew some people's minds with my my Utana tattoo. That's the sword of Dios right there.
Sick.
If you can see it.
hell
Yeah.
yeah.
I've been thinking about getting a Hidden Leaf Village tattoo.
I think we should
Yo,
get
that'd be
that.
so sick.
We are going to
Yeah,
peer pressure you.
get it right on
My
your
friend for
forehead.
that's a great idea. For my birthday, my friend got me my friend Blue got me a 2003 Viz Media Naruto jacket, and like the
Yeah.
original like OG thing. It's so fucking
Yeah.
cool.
Oh, I also no. I have a fucking leather Akatsuki jacket that's hanging over there that I wear too much, and so all my friends are tired of it. Anyway, let's ask some real questions. For
Fair.
example,
Fine.
again, the primary wrapped up. Unfortunately, you did not win, although you came very close. What I guess have the weeks like, or what have the weeks since that been like? And sort of, I guess I'm sure that initially there was kind of some shock to it and a little disappointment. And so, what did you do with your time? How did you kind of come to the conclusion that you should be again doing mutual aid and doing these sorts of things, regardless of whether or not you're running?
I mean, there was a lot of sleeping. Just catching up on a lot of sleep, and it's been I've been very blessed because a lot of people come up to me and they say like very nice things to me. For the first like week, whenever someone would say something nice to me, I'd just start crying because I felt like I disappointed everyone. And I still feel that to an extent. Um, but the reason that we're continuing this is like I believe in action over words, and it seems if we had the ability to like no, we didn't win our race, but we did a completely new model, like shit that has people have talked about in theory kind of but never really done, but we actually did it. And we had more first time um, Gen Z donors than the DCC, the DSCC, Schumer, Jeffries, my top two opponents combined. The only person to have more first time Gen Z donors was AOC. We had more volunteers than the entire field combined. We won the most conservative part of our district, as well as the entire section of the city of Chicago, with the exception of several precincts. Like, we're showing, and this comes as like a political nobody. When I launched, anyone that had like, common wisdom in the political sphere would have said I'd get 5% if I was lucky.
Yeah.
And instead, this is where we were. So, we scared the shit out of a lot of people, and we ran a clean race. And I was telling my therapist that like a few days after the loss, and someone in chat said I was one of those volunteers. I'm happy I got the chance to do so. Thank you.
Sweet.
But I was like, we ran a clean race and no one else did. And we just got like pummeled by all of this dirty shit. And she's like, well, would you have done it differently? And I was like, well, no, but it doesn't make it suck less.
Yeah.
So real. Yeah, I think I was thinking talking about it again with my husband after the results came in, and I think the thing that no one can ever take away from you is what you just said. You started off not expecting literally any of the vote, really completely a no name in the world of politics there, and you almost won it, and that is really really wild. And I think in New York, what we see from the many tries to try to get progressive candidates out there is that every single race you run, you learn something extremely valuable.
Right.
Yeah.
And you look at the success of Mayor Zohran Mamdani, and he could not have run that campaign and won it if it weren't all these trials and failures leading up to it. They're never failures. It's just like another step towards a better future.
We make the path a little easier for the next person.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, do you think you'd run for office again in the future, or are you going to focus more on these like on the ground efforts?
I don't know. I mean, like I said, that I was running specifically like not to be a career politician, but because people in the Democratic Party don't understand the right. And I was running for this specific moment. And I meant it, but we still have 3 more years of this administration.
Yep.
We have 2 more years of this administration. And on top of that, like there's also the aspect of we did it kind of alone. We had a lot of, and this is something that we've seen in the left time and time again, where we're kind of disorganized. And I don't mean this from like the leftist signal chats, although I've been in many of those and they're also disorganized and I'm also guilty of it. I mean it from like the organizational aspect and like where we're putting our funds. And I was just in New York for Jamal Bowman's birthday party. Jamal Bowman is not one of these people I'm about to mention, but like we had so many people that were like, we really tried to come in for you to like help with spending or get certain endorsements, but like, there was just so much pressure from this person, or we just couldn't make it happen. And then they asked, are you going to run again? And I'm like, well, if I'm doing it alone, I don't know. Like it's kind of incredible that we did all of this with zero outside spending. And I did see someone be like, but you had spending, you had donors from out of state. That's not what outside spending means. Outside spending, independent expenditures from places like APAC or any sort of PAC. And not all of them are bad. And ideally, we'd have publicly funded elections where they're not necessary. But we had millions in outside spending for a bunch of different candidates. And zero of that was for us. And yet we still came that close, ahead of multiple established elected officials.
Yeah, I mean, a miracle, right? I mean, not just a miracle, that's organizing and that's engaging with your community. It's evidence of all of the work you did in the votes that you were able to earn. And I think there are a lot of people, young people, who have looked at this campaign and see all of the many things that worked, and will it be able to pick that up? I think in a lot of states, people are looking for and asking for, when are we going to get our Mayor Mamdani? And like the unfortunate thing is, like, you have to start from zero. Like, you just
And
Right.
have
we're the Mayor
to.
Mamdani. Like, no one's coming in to save us. We are what
Yeah.
we've got. I've
Yeah.
had people ask, and I see someone in the chat actually asking too, being like, why did you choose to run in this race? I wish I had like some sexy answer, because I'm not from Chicago originally. It's like where my family immigrated. But Ben and I moved there when he took over the Onion, and I didn't plan to run for office, but I couldn't sit around after Trump won. I was like, Democrats are going to do something, right? And then they didn't. And I was the only person in my race to launch before the incumbent announced her retirement. And it wasn't, I said from day one, like, it wasn't a vendetta against her. It was because I believe in competitive primaries. And otherwise, we just get like anointed representatives every single time. And I think
Mhm.
that's part of the reason our primary was so competitive. And we should have ranked choice voting, because there were multiple progressives in our race, and it made it difficult for others, for anyone to break through. And I said from the start, I was like, I would rather lose with ranked choice voting than win with like 20-30% of the vote, which is whoever won this race would get. Um, but we performed that well because our message resonated with people, and we showed through our actions rather than our words what we believed. And I invited my fellow opponents to join me in different events and helping the community through mutual aid. And during like SNAP, for instance, we sponsored a food bank and we challenged all of our opponents to do the same. Only two of them replied, and they said, because most of us raised like over $100,000, only two of them replied, and they were like, well, I volunteered at food banks before. And I'm like, that's great. Awesome. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we need to use campaign resources this way. And
Mhm.
no one else is willing to do that.
Right. Another thing that you were talking about earlier in terms of like, attracting more people from Gen Z than anybody else, pretty much. One thing that you did on that front, and that we talked about, I ran an article on Aftermath about, is that you also took up streaming on Twitch and YouTube as a means of fundraising for the campaign, which is quite different than what pretty much anyone else has done. And so, what did you learn about that, both over time and also like since the last time that you and I talked, for that article? Because obviously some more time elapsed. And so, I mean, what did you learn in terms of being just like, growing as a streamer, for one, and then for two, about how you could use that to aid a campaign?
Well, first off, I've ruined every single campaign finance consultant's live, which makes me very happy, because all of their candidates are like, well, I can just live stream, right? And they're like, no,
Mhm.
you have to do call time, which is the worst thing in the world. Um, and call time, for those who don't know, is when you literally sit in a room and you just call people hour after hour and beg for money, rich people. And this is how candidates spend like 60% of their time, like 60 to 80 hours a week. And elected officials spend a very similar amount of time doing it as well. There are literally offices like right next to Capitol Hill where you can go and call day after day,
Yeah.
dial after dial for dollars. And so
Whenever you see a person in one of those little offices, it looks like their eyes just look like they're begging
every
to be
single one of them
released
is
in that room.
suicidal.
Yeah.
No one is like the people getting the calls hate it, the people doing the calls hate it. No one's having a good time. And when you ask, why do we have to do this? The answer is always, well, it's what you have to do.
Right.
And I think that's a shitty answer. And so, I had a large platform to start with, which is part of the reason that we were able to launch um, strongly.
Mhm.
And so I want to say that I'm not sure this is scalable to every campaign in the world right now. And I certainly think that there has to be an aspect of like personality and a willingness to engage through the screen, and also some type of like hobby, or like we've done everything from gaming to Legos,
Mhm.
to even some cooking streams. But, it is just being able to disprove the idea that you have to do call time was honestly one of the most revolutionary parts of our campaign. Like, that really
Mhm.
hasn't been proven before, and we did it. Um, and also, I didn't have to do call time. I spent like 6 hours a week streaming and playing video games rather than
Mhm.
calling people, which is great.
I mean,
Um,
just the fact that they call it call time, like, it sounds like a punishment. It's time for call
Yeah.
time.
it literally is a punishment. Like, you can always, if you follow like different consultants and stuff, you'll see like memes where they're like me trying to get my candidate amped up for call time, and it's just not the way the world works anymore. A lot of people don't answer their phones, and if you're a progressive candidate that's actively campaigning on taking money away from rich people,
No, you're not
you're
going to
not
get
going
many
to be
rich
as
people to give you
successful.
money.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like,
We
Yeah.
could always use more class traders, but the world does not work that way, you know?
right. Like, I was endorsed by Patriotic Millionaires, which is what I call very lovingly my favorite group of class traders. And they're all people with a very large net worth who are like, billionaires shouldn't exist, not just because we should use the money we get from taxes for, services and to help the people, but also because no one should have that amount of money, just like plain and simple. Like, that should be illegal to have $1 billion, and you should tax the
Right.
shit out of us. And I'm like, that's awesome. There are like 5 of you guys, and all of you are great. But like, call time just isn't sustainable. We raised over $300,000 through live streaming from September till the campaign ended in March, and it was really fun. We tried a bunch of new things. We got to connect with people on a new level. I got to meet some people that I really admire, like Brennan Lee Mulligan. That was like my Super Bowl.
Nice.
And also, there was a lot of time where I would be sitting in my house trying to play video games and then feeling super anxious about the campaign. And so I gave myself an outlet to be able to do something I like while also knowing that I was helping the campaign, which shows also how unsustainable our current election process is. It's so taxing. It goes for so long. It's almost impossible to do as a working class person. Like, I have like 3 digits in my bank account. And on top of that, I still have to figure out, the leftover legal costs that I have for my federal indictment and my field director's legal costs. And I don't even understand how like a working class parent would do this, much less like a single working class parent. I was lucky because my partner was able to pick up some of my slack, but that was unsustainable. And most people are not lucky enough to have that. And we're not rich by any means. We were just lucky enough to be in this position for a year that I could do this.
You know, solidly middle class existence, but one that is out of reach for so many different Americans.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, I mean, in doing all of that, like, I guess, what are your takeaways, especially from kind of are you going to keep like live streaming? Are you going to continue doing that as part of your just ongoing efforts in general? And do you feel like that helps with mutual aid, even though mutual aid is something that I think is generally considered to often be on a more local level, though certainly there are mutual aid efforts that you see on the internet, Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, with our form of music, because like, I feel like everyone's just like, let me create my own organization rather than working with existing organizations. Specifically, what we are trying to do is use our platform and our resources and our reach to change the conversation of how political campaigns and political parties are supposed to function in this moment. To be clear, I don't think that the world should function like this, where campaigns are helping feed the community for eternity. But right now, Trump is taking away our material needs. And if we want people to buy into our political system, then we have to give them something to buy into. We have to put our own resources on the line. We have to say, here are my values, not just say what they are and then hope that they stick by them.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to keep streaming. It's fun. I like doing it. And, I also have to make a living. I don't think I'm streaming full time, but like, it's something that I'm considering in terms of just like income, because my job was a conflict of interest. I couldn't report on anything while I was a congressional candidate.
Right.
And it's, as y'all might have heard, it's hard to find jobs in media right
Really?
now.
Are you
Yeah.
kidding? It's hard to
Yeah.
get jobs in media? I thought they just
I recommend going through the painstaking process of creating your own over the course of multiple years.
That's a really good idea. That's a really good
Yeah,
idea.
yeah.
The best part about it is that
It's
it's
infinitely
super,
replicable.
it's
Yeah.
infinitely replicable and also really easy, where there's no difficulty whatsoever.
Yeah.
See, that's
Yeah.
the same thing I say about my campaign all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like, you could basically be completely brain dead and just start your own independent media outlet. Then there's a totally normal, sane thing to do.
Someone asked, is Kat doing gig work right now? My main source of income is, as it was during the campaign, is my Patreon, where people get a picture of my cat and they pay $1 a month, or they can make it more if they'd like. And looking for a job. I mean, I'm going to be on Common Power's payroll soon, which is exciting for our organization. Kapow.
Yeah, you have to say it that way. It needs an exclamation point at the end.
Kapow.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's
People always have to be a little
contractually
afraid when you say it, or like surprised. Like,
It did
Um,
startle me.
yeah. Also, somebody in chat asked a very important question. Kat, will you play Bloodborne on stream?
When I can afford to buy new games, sure.
There we go. All right. But yeah, also, you know, as you are fairly new to streaming still, like what is the most surprising thing you've encountered, especially like in terms of dealing with an audience, you know, having that kind of spontaneity to like what they are going to say, what they're going to ask you, all of that.
I mean, I already had like a pretty large audience online,
Mhm.
even before the campaign. Now it's only gotten larger. Um, I I think a good way to describe myself is like the most online offline person you ever met, or the most offline online person. Like I know so much about right-wing cesspools on the internet. I know so much of like making a banger reply. Like I did
Mhm.
all of my own captions for everything on the campaign. Like our video I scripted, edited, posted all myself for our launch. Most of our ads were made in house, but I also don't, like my friends describe my TikTok algorithm as NPC algorithm, because I literally just post and then bounce. And the same goes for like when Asha, who you met, my producer, will talk about like things on Twitch, of like Twitch trends and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll be like, I have no idea what the fuck that is.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
so fucking old. Um, but I don't know. I like talking. I like yapping.
Mhm.
I like talking with folks. I like seeing our little regulars. And since the campaign ended, I get to be a little more mean
Mhm.
on like to.
Hell yeah.
Excellent.
I did see someone that got really upset on Reddit. I was just like, it showed up on my thing. I always hate when like my face pops up on like my Reddit feed.
It fucking
Uh-huh.
sucks, man. I
And, like,
really
my
hate it.
Reddit like has some of the most rabid people I've ever seen about me. Like I'm just begging people to be normal about me. Please.
They
And so
won't.
like
Like, that's the thing.
her
Yeah, spoiler
employee
alert, they're not gonna.
and brought in flowers from someone, and she told him to get out because the flowers would murder her cat. And what happened was my lovely employee Ethan, someone had
Mhm.
brought a bunch of beautiful orange lilies to our
Yeah.
office, but I have a cat and lilies
Yeah.
are deadly to cats. And so I was
Yeah.
like, I am so sorry, Ethan, please take them home, put them somewhere
Yeah.
nice, like make a nice dinner. um, it was really lovely of them though, especially orange, because if y'all couldn't tell, it's my favorite color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um,
And your
It's so
cat's only
sweet.
color, because that's, you know, cats can't see it, but they can be it.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. No,
People are
it's
like, you get your cat because she's orange, and I'm like, no, but it's a nice coincidence.
does she know she's orange? That's a question I've never considered before. She doesn't know.
Man,
She
I'm going to
doesn't
tell you right
know.
My
now, my
cat
cat
knows.
doesn't
She knows
know
everything.
anything. Definitely not what color she is.
Okay, I just learned that my cat, she responds to two things consistently. She responds to Ella, her name, and then
Mhm.
she responds to, for reasons I can't explain, pretty. That's the
Huh.
only other thing she responds to. Pretty. When I say she's right here and I hear her ear is turned around because I said pretty. Who taught her that her name was pretty? I just want to I mean
Me, I
not
did.
wow, you're in my
There we
house?
go. Yeah. Yeah. Every day you like
Scary.
whisper to her. You're like, that's what you are.
My cat understands the idea of kisses, but
Mhm.
she doesn't really understand like how they work, because she doesn't have lips, and she also
Mhm.
doesn't have a human brain. So she tries to like put her nose inside of my nose, because she's like, love is when you put your face on my face.
Yeah.
So every night she comes over to me and she like tries to fit her nose inside of my nose, which is awesome.
That's
Excellent.
beautiful.
Yeah, we love that sensation, I'm sure.
It's so
But
cute.
yeah,
Her mouth
okay.
smells like the bottom of the ocean, but her fur smells like sunshine.
um, I can give you a brief, now that we're in like cat update corner, I can give you a brief update on the status of Biscuit, because a while ago I was going
Yes.
to go see Cat
Is
stream
this
while I was
okay?
visiting Chicago, and eventually I did. But the first time I wasn't able to because we were going through a cat-related emergency, namely that my cat was diagnosed with diabetes. And so for the past handful of months, we've been trying to give her like this one drug that's supposed to like basically, not if not put it in remission, then at least like help cut down on the effects of it. That did not work, and so this week we started her on insulin. So I get to give her little shots every day now, twice per day,
Wow, I
12
bet she
hours
loves
apart.
that.
Actually, the great thing is there's an easy strat for this. You're supposed to give them the insulin around when they're eating anyway. So I just wait for her to be about half
Oh.
done with her food, so
Yeah.
she's still like locked in.
Yeah.
And then I just come over and pull up a little bit of her skin, put the needle. She doesn't even notice. She doesn't
Yeah.
care.
She's
Yeah.
food maxing right there.
Yeah.
She's
Sometimes like I'll keep it in there because I'm always worried that I miss because she has a lot of fur, so it can be hard to tell if you're getting just fur or skin. And then eventually she'll be like, but not even like angrily, just like, what are you doing? Like, stop
My
it.
cat's way too smart. She understands. She knows when I like want to clean her ears or like clip her nails,
Uh-huh.
and she will just dart out.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to the point when I first tried to do it because like I never pet a cat before I met her when I was
Mhm.
25, and so I like panic and I was like, she's gonna hate me forever if I clip her nails. And now I'm just like, all right, let's go. And
I love that. I love
Yeah.
Ella is a vicious beast, and she will not permit me to touch her with my disgusting human hands if I'm trying to clip her nails. Now, there's been blood. It's like she's a calico, and calicos have a reputation for being a little bit princessy, and she is my beautiful darling princess. I will say something that the black people in chat will understand completely. My cat is black, and I don't know how to explain that to non-black people, but she is, and everything about her and the way that she is not going to let me in her business whatsoever, like that's just what it says to me. That's right, Ella. Let's talk about you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so Kat, somebody in chat wants you to talk shit, and you can feel free to say no to this question, but it's too enticing for me not to ask. They said, please tell us who the worst people are in politics that you experienced.
Ooh, great question. Let me think about this. Because like most of my answers like people you don't know that are just
Uh-huh.
like these weird. So like, I can't think of anyone off the top of my head that I just like. I'm
Okay.
like, oh, I
Let's-
need to publicly flame them.
Let's amend slightly. What's the worst type of guy in politics
Oh, there we go.
that you've
There
had
we
to
go.
interact
Yeah, I
with?
like that question.
Yeah.
Can we do like a DC edition and then like
Yes.
Chicago politics
Yes.
edition?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes. I'm in.
Because,
I'm in.
like, I went to college in DC and lived there for a
Oh
bit.
wait. Where do you go to college, DC?
GW.
Oh, my husband went to American.
Oh, okay, so he went to college in Maryland, but that's cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was all locked and loaded. I truly think GW and Howard are the only real DC schools, but
Fair,
Catholic
that's
is
fair.
irrelevant. And to be clear, Howard's a way cooler school than GW.
That's 100% true. Like,
Oh yeah.
just it's way cooler than I think all of the schools that we went to, just by a huge fucking margin.
But okay, worst type of guy in politics in DC, it's any guy that works on the Hill and is proud of the fact that he works on the Hill.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there are lots of people that work on the Hill and they're like, this is a job. This is my job that I do. And I understand that. And then there are guys that are like, this is my, and I was a bartender in DC and like they thought that was like a thing that would like get them in. And in reality, I'd just be like, do you want to buy a shot for me and the staff? And then once you're serving 6 people, you get to charge autograt. So
Hell yeah.
I would just do that to a Hill staffer like
Yeah.
at least once a day.
Oh my god, the ways in which you can scam self-important rich people are my favorite.
Oh
And I love it.
It was fun. I was so good at it one bar. And like the thing is, it's like if you're nice to me, I'm gonna be nice to you. Like that's it. But like if you're being a dick and you're like kind of bordering on sexual harassment, guess what? You're gonna get tricked into buying a shot for our bar backs because you're gonna think it's a bunch of girls that look like me, and instead it's our whole kitchen staff and our bar backs. But you already committed to buying 8 shots. So sorry, buddy. So that's the worst guy in DC. And then, so fun fact, my grandfather, so like my grandfather, on my dad's side, my grandparents were expelled during the Nakba. And then my grandfather went to college in Chicago. One of the best parts of the campaign early on was actually, we had a bunch of volunteers that were like archivists, and they found all of this stuff from my grandfather when he was here. And I always joke that like Arab dads pretend they were born at 40. And it was like all like we didn't know that he was in a frat. He wasn't just in a frat; he was in an integrated frat in the 50s.
For real?
Yeah,
That's
we were like,
amazing. That
"You're
rules.
in a frat, okay." And then like we found a picture of him in the in his international students club, and he's like wearing like a keffiyeh, reading the Quran. It's like Tahir Abughazaleh, an ardent advocate for the rights of the people in traditional costume. And then like a op-ed he wrote for the Tribune about Palestine, an ad for ballroom dance classes at the Y. So it was just really cool. And then he went back to the Middle East. My dad was born stateless in Kuwait, and then they moved to Lebanon, and then they came to Chicago in the 60s, like during the Daley administration. Like when you think Chicago machine, that's the time. And my dad, like I said, born at 40, never really explained why. And he also never explained why they very suddenly moved to London a few years later. And then a reporter asked me on day 2 of the campaign, they were like, was your grandfather an aide to Mayor Daley? And I was like, I don't know. So my mom made my dad call me. She's like tapping her foot, like arms crossed. I could hear it through the phone. And he's like, yeah, so my father was supposed to provide oversight against financial corruption in Chicago in the late 60s. And then someone came to our house in the middle of the night a few years later and was like, that's a really nice family you got there. So we moved continents 2 weeks later. And I was like, damn, that would have been nice to know. And then after the election, my dad was like, it's genetic. But my least favorite type of Chicago politics guy is, and there's very much like a very weird political culture across Illinois, but especially in Chicago. But it's like guys, especially young guys, who still are acting like it's the 60s, who are still like they want to feel more important than they are. They don't realize that there's like don't get me wrong, there is still like a club just as there is in every state. There is still lots of fuckery. I mean, we saw what happened with Chuy Garcia trying like dropping off the ballot the last possible second. Like there is a lot of shitty stuff that happens in Chicago politics and a lot of great stuff. I mean, this is the center of the American labor movement historically. Like it's a dope place to be. And born during the Nakba and born stateless in Kuwait are some crazy heavy sentences Kat just breathed through. It's just being Palestinian, man. But yeah, it's that type of guy that's just like, I'm a part of this machine. And I'm like, it's not the same. They used to literally empty out mental institutions so they could follow people into ballot boxes. We're not doing that anymore. And if you want to do that, then you need to do some serious introspection.
Yeah.
It's both of those things are different reflections of the I live in West Wing, the television show.
Yes.
There we go.
I live in West Wing and I watched way too much House of Cards when I was way too
Yes,
young.
yes, absolutely. I used to date a guy who referred to the White House congressional dinners as the press dinners. He used to call them nerd prom. Like that was the kind of person he was. Yeah.
As
And
someone who's been invited to a lot of those fucking parties, I always say no because I think it's so gross. You're the press. Stop trying to fucking rub shoulders with power.
If I'm invited to one of those parties, you're never gonna invite me again. Is like my goal if I go. Like I'm gonna be so fucking annoying, and you're gonna hate being around me, and I'll never come again. But yeah, this is the thing I think about when people ask me if I'm going to like GDC or the Game Awards, and it's like they don't want me there. They don't want me there. Like they know who I am, and they don't want me to come.
It might be different. It's like for women, I think we have this, but it might be different, especially for Black women, especially as such like a white passing person. Like there is an aspect of being a woman where like if you do that, you can just kind of neg people, or they like think you're like as a bartender, I'd like be a dick to some people who are being a dick, and they'd be like, she's so like plain spoken. She's so like
they're impressed by you. I think I wrote an entire speaking of Aaron Sorkin, I wrote an entire blog about how much I don't like his writing and how I like his craft. I think he is good at the baseline craft, and when you look at the components of a screenplay, he is very good at putting them together. But I think he's a stupid writer, and I think he understands politics in a way that it is neoliberal mind poison. He sent me an email telling me that he disagreed with me, but he thinks I'm a thunderous writer. Like, there's a type of guy who loves that when a woman challenges them. They just love it. They think it's the best. And you can be like, you're fucking stupid. And they'll be like, ha, 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 that's so great. Like
the amount of like, also the like flip side of the type of guy I said I hated, of like older men in Chicago politics that were like, I like her. She's got a little spark to her. And I was like, all right, buddy.
Exactly. Oh, she's got some moxie.
Yeah, exactly. Like, look at this dame.
Brother.
Well, speaking of people not being able to be normal about you, the other like kind of bigger subject that I wanted to get to today is that kind of, the way that people treated you, I think, during the campaign, and also the way that people are now reacting to other like leftist elements of kind of the Democratic Party or the Democratic apparatus, people like Hasan Piker, who the mainstream media and politicians have not been able to stop talking about
Yeah.
during the
Satan
same
is what you're
week.
talking about?
Yeah,
What?
Satan incarnate, my husband's
Yeah,
best
yeah.
friend, Hasan Piker.
Yeah, exactly.
My
No, because
dad
it
is
is truly
a
wild that, the week that Donald Trump threatened like a nuclear holocaust, mainstream media was like, this Hassan guy, he said some stuff that we think is pretty objectionable, and we should probably spend hours and hours talking
The
about that.
way that like liberal centrist media has asked leftists if they condemn Hasan Piker is like the same way that Palestinians were just asked by random people, do you condemn Hamas, as we're like actively like mourning our family like a week after October 7th. It's crazy.
yeah.
Right. They're like, do you condemn Hamas,
And he's
Piker?
just a guy. Like he is a guy that like
He
truly
streams.
such a
His head is
nice
tiny. He's a very nice, and my dad literally watches Hasan Piker every single fucking day, and I feel like if you actually sat down and watched the content, you would understand what it is, which is trying to meet especially young men where they are and talk to them about politics. And just on top of that, to act like this main source of bigotry on Twitch comes from Hasan Piker just
Right.
drives me absolutely bonkers. Didn't Asmongold get banned for a week once again
Yeah.
for calling people from the
For
Middle
like
East
saying something about
degenerates?
like that he's not going to listen to like people from like the third world or something. Like
Yeah,
of
we
all the
literally
things that he has
talked for,
said, even in the past handful of months, that is like some of the most milk toast. Like he often will say things about individual like groups and like people of different backgrounds, people from different countries or whatever, that is far more objectionable. And then Twitch is like, look the other way. It probably wasn't anything. Yeah, and now they're like, all right, 1 week, that'll show you. Yeah,
we
it's
literally
crazy.
spent like 30 minutes talking specifically about how like Jewish and Palestinian lives are inextricable from each other, and like how the use of anti-Semitism as a way to punish free speech when you're identifying with and cooperating with people who are pushing the Great Replacement theory is actually more dangerous to both Jewish and Palestinian people than like anything else. And we spent like 30 minutes talking about that when I was in LA.
Yeah.
Right.
But
it's undeniably true that Israel's actions have made the world less safe for Jews in the diaspora. Like one of the most recent attacks against a synagogue was someone that blamed Israel for the war, and that those innocent Jewish people had nothing to do with the decisions that Israel makes. But
so many Jewish people literally lose friends and family standing up for basic human rights, saying
yes,
not in my fucking name.
yes,
The same goes for us, of like not in my fucking name. But like it's fucking ridiculous. This someone said Piker's getting primaried and he's not even running. Literally, like, that's exactly what
he's
it is.
literally just hanging out most of the time. Today, like Laura
Right.
Loomer posted a creep shot of him sleeping on a plane, and it's like that guy had too many fajitas. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Also,
Well, and
I love
also,
how much like conservative men love posting about him. It's like, oh, you want to post about like a famously hot leftist guy? Like,
Yeah,
right.
it's
that's what you're spending your
whenever.
time.
And
Like,
it's
you're,
also
like,
really funny to
gonna
like
leave on
watch
your phone.
everyone kind of like engage with that part of things, because you'll have all of these like people who again are in media or in politics, and they will like on their own unprompted bring up the fact that he's hot, because it's hard
I've
to
never
ignore,
seen this
and they're like,
happen with
you
a
gotta
man.
hand it to him, he is very good looking.
Yeah, I'm kind of upset because this used to be my thing of
Yeah.
like we would have like Nazis be like, or I'm trying to think of the many people, Derek what's his face, or God, my brain is so cooked, y'all. I
No, that's
thought
all
of
good. You travel.
My first thought was Derek comedy. I don't know why I thought.
no.
Damn, that's a
He
deep
started
cut.
with John Badman, a guy that was like in on Project 2025 too, who would always be like the cute White House intern, like trying to talk about like how my like posts were approved by
Christ.
Joe Biden, someone who I
What the
famously
fuck?
loved.
This is,
But like
reminds
you
me.
didn't have to put in cute. Like you didn't
Yeah.
have to
Right,
add that
right.
in there.
Every time a man talks about penis envy, they are talking about something that men only, like cis straight white men only really experience.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
they all have penis envy of Hasan Piker. They all wish they were in Hasan Piker's body. They think that he is wasting his attractiveness because
Mm.
he seems to be like in a monogamous relationship
Yeah.
happily and believe the things he
Well,
believes.
yeah, and he's not out there looks maxing every day. And the looks
Yeah.
maxing mind's beating himself in the head with a hammer. Why is he not doing that? Doesn't make any sense.
I love how much like homosexual subtext there is in just like the like homoeroticism in the way that incels project what they think women want men to look like,
Yes.
what they
Can
think
I?
like straight and please go ahead.
The thing about clavicular to me is I hear about all the stuff he's done to his body and like he's smoking meth to stay skinny and all this stuff. And I look at him, I'm like, you're not hot though. Like you're not
Yeah.
the deep soul rot manifests on your face. And I look at you and I'm like, it's not worth it what you were doing. You could be greasy faced, full of acne and not ripped, but happy in life. And you would get so much sexual intercourse with the whatever gender
Yeah,
appeases
but that's
you.
not the goal. That's not what he wants.
Right. I
Yeah.
mean,
He
like
wants to maximize his view count, and that's it. It is a means simply to the end of number go up.
He is gonna die. Like
Probably.
within the
Well, no.
year. I'll bet
There
on
was
it
a,
right now. $20 in. He's gonna
Yeah.
die
Sure.
within the year. Yeah, absolutely. Kat,
This
I'll
week
hit you
there
up.
was a Wall
all right,
Street
see you on
Journal
December
piece.
31st.
Yeah, right. This week there's a Wall Street Journal piece about somebody who's like following in the footsteps of all these look maxers, and who's like doing steroids at age like 17, and who like one of the quotes he was like, "I don't care if I get a heart attack at 30." It's like, do you? Because man, 30 is gonna hit you like for one like a ton of bricks, and for two like very fast. You're gonna blink, and tomorrow you'll be 30.
And like
So-
also I have to say, everyone under 30, if you are fearful about turning 30, my life got so much better after I turned 30. I love
Yeah,
being
but
in my
I mean,
30s. I love it.
Yeah.
Did you see my thing about this when I was hold on, let me find this. I had posted being like, I'm turning 27. Does anyone have advice for turning 27? And Ben Ryan took a screenshot of it.
Oh my god,
and
this
then
freak. I
posted
hate
it
this
on
guy.
Twitter and was like, fresh off her loss. Kat Abughazaleh crowdsourced tips on turning 27. I'm trying to enjoy the time I do have, says Abughazaleh, which like, okay, big old scandal. I have a birthday. I know. I'm so sorry to everyone. But second, he made it sound like I was dying. And what I was trying to say, because like I posted something underneath where I was just like, hey, I can actually read it right now. Because everyone was like, oh, it's so depressing. You're going to hate being everything after this is downhill. And I was like, to everyone talking about how everything gets worse after 27, just want you to know that I'm so excited for every day of my life. And when you do something new every day, the time doesn't feel as short. Maybe I'm naive. Either way, I'm just trying to enjoy the time I do have. Because like it was so depressing just seeing people be like, life gets so much worse. You better be ready for a bad time. And I'm like,
you're all fucking liars.
That's also
like,
insane. Life
like
gets so much
back,
better.
Your back
Like,
will hurt a little bit,
10
but it's
times
like
better.
a switch flipped for me psychologically when I turned 30, where I was like, all this posturing and like jockeying for coolness that I was doing in my 20s, the idea of coolness being really important to me, I stopped caring about it instantly, like at the stroke of midnight. It was incredible. I was like, oh, I don't want to go to this party because I would like to take a nap instead. And that you just like understand the balance of what matters to you flips when you're just sort of like, that was supposed to be the most important, impactful decade of my life. And yet I've got like 70 fucking years now, if I'm lucky, to live the rest of my life. Isn't that amazing?
Right. Awesome.
I love that. Yeah.
And I gotta say, like at 27, I did maybe the hardest thing I'll ever have to do, which is both run a congressional campaign on a national level while being federally indicted. Yep. And that was all at 26. I launched on my 26th birthday. And so, yeah, I mean, it seems pretty much all uphill from here.
I mean, honestly,
or downhill just in terms of ease.
Like, you will never do anything harder than that, which means like you can take the limiters off. Like, this is like was it Rock Lee taking off all the weights, you know?
Like, literally.
Yeah.
You
move
can
around super
unleash
fast
yourself.
now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You can kick Dara in the face.
Yeah. I in my 20s,
ready.
Yeah. In my 20s, I helped curate and run a storefront gallery in Chicago near Humboldt Park. And it was incredibly difficult and bankrupted me entirely. But I don't think I could have done that. If I had not have done that, I would not have jumped on with Aftermath, right? Like, you just
Mhm.
have to try things that are super fucking hard and fail. But the 20s are the time for the failure. In your 30s, you take all those lessons and you become a person.
Yeah. And then you too can be making something only slightly above minimum wage for running a website. um, but no, I did want to get back to briefly, like, the Hasan of it all, and kind of how that also, I think, fits in with what you went through in your own campaign and the way that people reacted to you. Because there was a really good piece written by I don't know if you listened to, like, If Books Could Kill.
Yeah.
Yeah, Peter from that show. He wrote a piece about what's been happening around Hasan, and kind of pointed to the fact that on one hand, the kind of centrist machine is these days, especially if you look at like Gavin Newsom and his podcast and whatnot, all about like reaching across the aisle, talking to the right, even bringing on like far right figures and all of this. But then they consider somebody like Hasan, somebody who's further to the left, to be like persona non grata, to be radioactive essentially. And so he had this really good graph in his piece where he was like, the theme running through Cory Booker's apparent hypocrisy is pretty clear. His concern is not expanding the coalition, nor is it having conversations with controversial figures. His actual concern is disciplining the left flank of the party by keeping them in a perpetual state of weakness. This is how the center of the Democratic Party keeps the left at bay. They forge alliances to their right and leave the left isolated from power. Convening with the right is practical politics. Convening with the left is beyond the pale.
It's literally that. And there are when you cover the right for a living, and I mean, even when you're like just in any sort of, especially political journalism, but also like internet, like a lot of forms of journalism, you're good at seeing when this bait is thrown out, and it's harder to fall for it. I remember in my own case, I have narcolepsy, which is a chronic illness where essentially you have sleepy disease. Your brain doesn't make as many of the chemicals that keep you awake as other people have. So for every 8 hours of sleep I get, it feels about like 2 hours of an average person's. Super fun stuff. But I try to be really open about it because disability rights are atrocious in this country, and part of that is the lack of diversity in Congress, not just in age and race and gender and sexuality and religion, but also in background and including in disability. And so I had just a bunch of fail safes. Actually, when I was in LA talking to Hasan, I had a sleep attack, which is a real thing. And I usually have a bunch of fail safes, but I was traveling and just for once they didn't come through. And so I try to be really transparent about it when I missed this call that I was supposed to be on. And the New York Post jumped on it, and the Daily Mail jumped on it, and everyone fucking fell for the bait. And I was like, thank God, like what else would we have done without this narrative of the woke narcoleptic, which also oxymoronic. You got to pick one or the other.
The
Stay
woke
woke or stay
narcoleptic.
sleep? Not sure.
Yeah, exactly. But it was just like one of those things where you're just sitting there being like, you're literally asked. I had people be like, why didn't you just lie? And instead of just actively being honest about things or actively embracing leftist ideas, which frankly I see as the center for American leftism, especially, we're like, what if you were worse? What if you
Right.
made things bad?
Yeah, like what if you do like the rest of us? Because that seems to be the broader, kind of refrain here. At least the implicit one is like, yeah, there are these figures like yourself, like Hasan, like other, kind of insurgent elements of the actual left, that the Democrats could embrace. I mean, again, look at Zoran Mamdani. Look at how both popular and successful he has been so far. They could say, yeah, this is what we're going to do from now on to win. But they basically say, well, if the price of winning is that we have to actually do things for the community, for people, for regular people, then we don't want any of that. We'd prefer to
Yeah.
lose
I
in these
think
like
this
horrible
is
and lopsided ways.
another facet of West Wing mental brain disorder where
Mhm.
it is more about the ideological win than the actual tangible material win, which is that you won an election and that now you can govern and that now you can do things to help your constituents. It is more about winning for the quote unquote right reasons rather than winning at all.
Right. And then it's also this aspect of like, we're supposed to hoard all of this power, but are we ever going to spend it? Are we ever
Right.
going to spend that political capital, or are we just hoarding it?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing if not sticking our necks out? Because after a while, like, I just think about all of these different leaders, from like Congress people to governors, that talked a lot of shit about Trump and ICE and all of this. And then meanwhile, their citizens, their constituents were the ones that took the brunt. We're the ones that are expected to stand up. We're the ones that are expected to get our asses
Yeah.
beat. We're the ones expected to be put in concentration camps. And we're the ones that they get to tell stories about and pretend that they were on our side 10 years from now. And I'm fucking sick of it.
Yep.
You do that. You do that because you
Mhm.
have a platform. You have privilege. You have power. You do
Yep.
that.
The
Mhm.
my basic expectation for any elected official at this point in time is that you are going to tank this blow for me. That
Right,
is your
right. That's their whole
job.
job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
Yeah. If you
you
were a
are
representative of the people, then you should be acting as effectively more than one person. So you should absorb all of it. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
It took
reasonable.
weeks for elected officials to come out to the facility, like the literal concentration camp right outside Chicago. And part of it was because we were putting a lot of pressure on them. And they were like, well, I don't want to get outdone by a blonde bimbo, as well as the many immigrants' rights orgs that were
Mhm.
pushing them for years. And they wouldn't do it. But it
Yeah.
takes, like, it's just ridiculous what it takes to get people out there. And then, even then, once they do it, they're like, well, I never do that again, right? right? Right?
Right, right.
I
Which
don't
means
have
it was
to interact with
basically,
the poors
which means
ever again.
it was basically a photo op at that point. Then.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, so my dad's from Selma, Alabama, and he was on that bridge. And here's the thing, he was like a 16-year-old boy and he marched, but Dr. Martin Luther King led the march, right? If there was anyone who was going to be intercepting the dogs that chased after them, it should be the leader of the movement. It should be, that's who it should be. That's why you have figureheads if you're going to be in a movement with a figurehead, is that so that they are absorb all the pain. Like,
Because
Mhm.
guess what? People will come to make sure that the figurehead's okay.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
not an elected official, but like when I mean, I got thrown a bunch of times, but the one that like went super viral, that video, which like was not fun. It's
Mhm.
not a fun time. I wasn't like, ooh, I want this to happen. But the reason it resonated with a lot of people is they're like, well, the state's not supposed to use violence against someone that looks like that.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
5 foot blonde girl. They're not supposed to use violence against that. And oh wow, she's a congressional candidate too. And oh wow, she has a platform. Well, they aren't supposed to do that. Meanwhile, that's what they're doing in front of cameras,
Yeah.
in front of people at
Yeah.
a literal concentration camp.
Yeah.
And if that's what they're willing to do here, like, that's the importance of using any platform, power, privilege you have. And I've been really lucky in Chicago. I've never really seen this in like the last 6 years of this type of protest, where like I saw a lot of specifically like white men that were like, okay, you, like, as far as like the black and brown protesters out there, they were like, you have a lot more chance of getting dragged in there and shipped to Louisiana.
Yep.
So like, I'm gonna put myself in front because that's probably not gonna happen to me. I might get a pepper ball to the face, but whatever.
Yeah.
But like, and then also didn't do the thing where it's like, well, you should be so grateful I did that. Shout out
Yeah.
Chicago.
Right. Yeah.
I
It's just
love
understanding what your role is
Chicago.
in that circumstance. That's
Yeah.
it. And then you just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one should be ashamed of being afraid. Like, being afraid, I'm afraid all the time. Like, it's a scary world out there.
Yeah.
But you should be ashamed of cowardice. And I'm
Yes.
fucking sick
Yeah.
of cowards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I completely
Yeah.
agree. I completely agree.
Being brave isn't doing something because you're not scared. Being brave is doing something despite being scared.
I think
Right,
it's
exactly.
Hemingway called it grace under pressure, and that's it. You just meet every moment with grace, even when you're absolutely fucking blitzed, terrified out of your mind. And I mean, what else can you say about life in this modern era, right? We all have to wake up every day afraid. I've been thinking quite poetically about this for some time. We have to wake up every day afraid. So many people, I think most of the people in this country, if not the entire world, wake up every day not really understanding what each next day will bring and whether or not they're going to survive it. Even those of us who are happy enough to have homes, to be clothed, to have
Yeah.
food,
To
like
be in the
sometimes,
imperial core, which is
yeah,
relatively safe, although becoming less safe by the
sometimes
day.
the president will say that he's going to destroy an entire civilization, and you just kind of have to wait 8 hours to see whether or not he means it. And like,
Yeah.
that's not a way to live a life.
No.
But you have to still do things whether or not when you're afraid. You still have to care for your family, you still have to go to a job. And you also still have to like really stand and live your values, even though you're afraid of what might happen to you for doing so. The more
Hmm.
people that have stood up against ICE, the better it is easier it has been for communities to resist ICE.
And
Um,
also, if you've ever wondered, and I think everyone's wondered this, what would I have done in World War II or in Nazi Germany? Guess what? It's whatever you're doing right now.
yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
no, literally, we do. I listened to the song BYOB by System of a Down, and it's like, wow, nothing. It came out like 10 years ago. No,
No,
20
more
years
than
ago
that,
to the
like
day.
20. Yeah.
20 years ago to the day, like a few days ago. And the same shit is still true that they're talking
Hmm.
about in the song, that it is the president who declares war, and the
Yeah.
only people who
Why do
die
they
are
always
poor
send the
people.
poor?
Why?
Yeah.
Literally, why? But they're still doing it. It is.
One of my
They were
favorite
saying, yeah.
songs of all time is Trust No Cop by Ludlow. And it was written in 2016. And
Hmm.
they're like
Crazy.
talking about how they're kidnapping our students and murdering our loved ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I was like, damn, this is so timely. Because like I heard it for the first time like a year ago. And just seeing that was like a shot to the heart. And the
Yeah.
fact that it's so much more obvious, so much more prevalent, so much more constant now. But it's always been happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when in BYOB, they also sing, sort of an ironic counterpoint. We don't live in a fascist nation,
Yeah.
and like now, like you listen to that song 20 years from now, it's like a retroactive recognition where it's like, oh, we lived under fascism then, but it was smaller and like more difficult to recognize. And here,
Hmm.
it's fully throated, but it is functionally the same systems.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I think what we're going to do now is try to speed run the mailbag to the extent that we can because we have like maybe 10 minutes. By the
Can
way,
I
the
grab my
mailbag is a thing.
laptop charger?
Yeah,
You're
go for it.
allowed.
Yeah.
Permission
I will do
granted.
a quick advertisement, which is that if you would like to contribute to the mailbag, you need only subscribe to Aftermath at the member tier, which costs $10 per month. It's great. And then you'll gain access to our Discord. That is where the mailbag lives. It happens every week. And then also you can just hang out in the Discord and talk with a lot of very cool and normal people about video games, which is more than you can say for most of the internet. So now we'll wait for Kat to return before I ask the first question because otherwise, what's
Okay,
the
but
point?
I do need to ask you a question.
What's up?
You would play Don't Let the Kitties Out, right?
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely. Yeah,
I would
no,
play
without
that.
hesitation.
It's like
Um,
a Pikmin like, but also like reverse tower defense. Where you're trying not
yeah,
to get
or
the people
maybe
out.
Untitled Goose Game. We're still in the ideation phase, and so we
Absolutely.
gotta put together a
I
design
had some
document,
people
all
that
of
like
that.
make games. I mean, they're like, I love this idea. It'll cost $1 million. And I was like, cool.
I mean,
Great
that's most
point.
games at this point, because you just got to think about even if you're like making an indie game, right? That's 5 people's salary for a year. If you want to pay them decently, you're already getting into like that territory just for like a year of work. Yeah,
Yep.
games hard to make.
I paid my
All
entire
right.
campaign staff a minimum wage of $25 an hour. I know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So I want to, because I'm going to just select a handful of questions since we don't have a ton of time. I'm also going to modify this one. So Matt asks, why do you think so many politicians are reluctant to embrace new technologies like Twitch to reach voters? And I'm going to add that with the caveat that we also are dealing right now with like an administration that is obsessed with content creation and with like, specifically getting attention on platforms like X. You could argue that many of their decisions of global consequence are made for that specific reason. And so we have this regime that's all about content creation. But then a lot of politicians are like, oh, I don't know about that. I don't know if I want to like dip my toe in.
I think that it comes down to not wanting to do the work.
Hmm.
Like they want to embrace technology when it means like AI slop that they
Yeah.
don't have to like create. They just put a thing in and then they post it and then good, you're good to go. Um, but like it takes also like my Twitch streams would be like 2-3 hours. And
Hmm.
when's the last time you heard a politician talk off the cuff for 2 to 3 hours?
Mm-hmm.
They just don't know how.
Yeah,
Um,
even Tim Wells's Crazy Taxi stream wasn't as long as that.
Yeah, it's really short. It was like 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. But I mean, I guess also, what do you think of that facet of things? That like so many politicians now, at least on the right, are kind of playing for the presumed camera of the internet, less so of like, Fox News and Newsmax or whatever, more for like, yeah, I want to get all these likes. I want to, own the libs on the internet, all this stuff.
I didn't realize how insular X was until I completely left it, and I saw some people are like, "You think you lost because you weren't on Twitter?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not on the child porn site. Sorry. Good, thanks.
Yeah,
I got
that was
I got
that was my
posed
line
by
in
a
the sand.
tumor. Good. By the way, my entire deposition, I kept calling them tweets, and then his lawyers kept correcting me and being like, they're actually called posts now, and I was like, cool. Anyways, this tweet. But yeah, I mean, I think that there is the aspect of like people used to jockey for just like 2 minutes on Tucker's show, and now it's like a Laura Loomer repost. Sorry, retweet. And but at the same time, when you're creating a website that is so dog shit, like it doesn't work, it's just filled with bots. Unless you are so terminally online that like you have to be on there, like you aren't really seeing what's there. Instagram has way more reach, and I'm not saying that Instagram's like a perfect site. It's far from that. And Meta is a very fucked up company, but it's
no
not
kidding.
actively generating child porn, which is
Yeah.
apparently the bar now. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right. From Lexi, favorite Chicago or Chicago adjacent restaurant?
Ooh. I love pho, and Argyle is in my congressional district, and so pho 888 is like the best pho. It's so good. It's amazing, and that's my go-to whenever I'm sad.
Oh, that's wonderful. Pho is really good. I don't drink anymore, but it was excellent hangover food. Also, I used to live around the corner from a pho place, and that would be my hangover food when I was still drinking. It is just, it's like a hug. It's like drinking a hug. I love it.
Yeah. A fug.
I don't know. It doesn't roll off the tongue in a way that I like, but yeah, it's anyway. From Ahab, yeah, that one, the one who went after Moby Dick. They live in our Discord, and you should subscribe to hang out with them. For Kat, as someone who works for the state in a publicly visible field, donating money to your campaign felt like a good way to contribute directly to causes I believe in without drawing attention in ways I cannot resolve. But what's a good way to keep up progressive momentum, or at least continue doing good in the long term / outside of an election reason?
Help locally. Like the reason that the Democratic Party has tried to exploit everyone through their text messages every hour of every day for the last 10 years is because A, they want money, and B, they know that a lot of us feel helpless because capitalism is supposed to make us feel that way. And so it's like, okay, I donated, and that's good. And that is good. Also, you can donate to our organization, givebutter, butter.com/kapow, if you want to help us with our mutual aid work and helping other campaigns adjust to this. We're going to be doing like a hard launch later this month or next month. But really the thing is like just think of everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses and loves and hates. Think of the stuff that you like to do and do it. Like maybe you just go around your block and pick up trash. Maybe you go volunteer at the local animal shelter.
Yeah.
Maybe you just knock on your neighbor's door. You really like baking muffins. Okay, bring them a muffin.
Yeah, go to your local library and just ask. They often have volunteer programs. If you like reading to children, for example, that is like a tangible benefit you can have to your community. Libraries need a little support than get these days, so whatever you have to give, if it's book donations or really anything, I'm sure they will be very grateful. But genuinely, I have found just by making sure I stay in contact with my local community and just even just like going for a walk and saying hi to the unhoused guy, Christian, that we see every day, and making sure that he has a little cash. Or saying hi to the guy that I call the mayor of my block, who is just always sitting out in a chair saying hi to everyone every single day, an elderly man. I've just really grown fond of him. You just stay connected to other people in your life. You will feel a lot less hopeless because you remember everything that's going on here in your brain is so much smaller than the span of the whole world.
I'll also say like one of the most radical things that you can do, and you don't have to have any experience. There are lots of groups that will teach you crafting.
Yep.
Knitting, crocheting, embroidery, whatever it is. There's a like anarchist arts collective right by where I live, and they have a stitch
Hell
and
yeah.
bitch every Thursday night, and it's so much fun. And they're a great way to learn about like different mutual aid opportunities around you, or like different ways to just like help people, or movements or organizations that you might want to get involved in, because everyone has their own interests and loves and hates and strengths and weaknesses. So if you've never done any of that before, I'd say fuck it, learn. Go to one of these
Yeah.
things. Someone there definitely has extra yarn and needles and wants to teach you.
Yeah. Also, I mean,
Absolutely.
a lot of the people listening to this, watching this, are gamers. Gamers love crafting, so
Yeah.
now you can do it in real
You
life.
don't
Isn't
have
that
to
crazy?
mine for the materials this time. You just buy them.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
have to punch a tree until it falls
Or you can
down.
come to our office and get free yarn.
Wonderful.
Also an option.
Mhm.
All right, from Rock Reaper. As someone who used to hang way too close to Capitol Hill on a regular basis, thanks to my grandma's house being on 4th Street, rip to a real one, never been inside the Capitol. What are the vibes like in there?
Okay, I've been to the Capitol a few times.
Mhm.
I think that the exterior is beautiful.
Mhm.
I think it's stunning.
Architecture, unlock.
The architecture is great. I do think, and I'm not running for Congress anymore, so I can say this. Some of the ways that American builders have tried to make interiors seem stately are tacky. And there are some, like the rotunda, beautiful, gorgeous.
Mhm.
But there are like some walls with murals that I'm like, this looks like a 4th grade history textbook.
Yeah. What do you think of the fact that, they fully took out part of the White House and now are being stopped legally from building anymore? So there's just going to be a giant chunk of the White House missing.
I think it's awesome.
That rocks.
Yeah, I
think
know.
that
It's so
rocks.
good.
If only there could be a literal physical manifestation about the rot at the heart of this country.
Wait, someone in chat said, I started a free poetry workshop at my local bookstore. Now have a vibrant and thriving little multi-generational poetic community. That's so gorgeous. I do what I call the preschool way of making friends. And so when I first moved to Chicago, I'd literally, when I just like meet someone I'd be like, do you want to be friends? And
That works.
it worked literally every time. And so I started
Yeah.
like a little women's club of where we
Aw.
did crafts together. And most of them had never done them before. And yeah, just ask people if they want to be friends. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's so
We're all
it
lonely.
clears up everything.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
you never have to wonder if you just say, "Hey, I would like to be your friend." Again, another reason why turning like your 30 rocks is that it becomes a lot more normal to just be like, "I don't like the ambiguity of our relationship. Can you clarify for me whether or not
Right,
we're
right.
more than just
And once you
acquaintances?"
do it once, it feels like totally fine to do it every other
Absolutely.
time.
Every single other
Mhm.
time, it's very easy.
Just
Yeah.
like talk to people at a bar. Like if you're at a
Yeah.
bar, I go to a bar with a book all the time, and then just like talk to people and be like, "Oh, do you want to be friends?"
Yeah. Also, when in doubt, if you want to start a conversation, compliment people, albeit
Yes.
normally. Don't be
Yeah.
weird about it, but just like, everyone's trying. Just say something nice about them that's not like leering or strange.
Yeah.
About
And
something
like,
that they can change within like
Yes.
5 minutes. So like clothes.
Yeah, something
Uh,
they chose
style.
specifically,
yeah,
like even a compliment like beautiful eyes can come off weird if you
yeah,
don't know the person,
yep,
even
Right.
though many people do have very beautiful eyes.
yeah.
But if
But
you
for
can say
example,
nice
yeah,
buttons, nice earrings,
right.
Cat,
Or
I think
like if
those are
somebody
nice.
is,
That
if they've done
hairstyle
their
is really cool.
nails, if they've done their nails, those are always good.
Yes.
Tattoos are great because,
Yes.
somebody chose to put that on their body for their whole life. I
Yeah.
think hopefully they like it and want other people to enjoy it.
At the
And
very
if you
least,
want
they
a
have a
really good
story.
Yes. And if you want a really good icebreaker, we put this on all of our job applications, and I always ask it to our stream guests.
Mhm.
What are your top 3 favorite preparations of potatoes? And I always tell people it's not just like
Oh,
mashed and baked and fries. I want specifics. Like if you say fries, I want to know if it's like crinkle cut, waffle fry, whatever. But you also have latkes, you got samosas. My
Mm-hmm.
favorite is the new potato in the bottom of a bag or bucket of crawfish. Super spicy. My mouth's
yes, man,
watering
that shit
thinking
is so
about it.
good.
So, top 3 favorite potato preparations. Would you believe that some people used AI to fill out
Mhm.
that part?
That's so depressing. If you can't have love for the humble potato, do you actually have
Right.
love in your heart? Like I don't understand that. The
Yeah.
potatoes
Yeah.
of
Okay,
such a
so wait.
bounty.
For the first time ever, we're going to end the mailbag on a question that the guest asked, which is that
Wow.
one. What are your favorite potato preparations?
I like specifically the way this is unranked 3 because ranking them would take too much time for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay.
Specifically my dad's spice mix for baked home fries. It's like paprika and cumin and salt and pepper, but I don't know exactly the ratios, and it's perfect and they taste delicious. I have never been able to replicate it. Then I do like the little pieces of potato on samosa chaat, which is my mom's Indian, so it's like an Indian street food. And I like that, especially when you get the yogurt and the little pieces of crunchy shit all together in one bite.
Mhm.
It's delicious. And then
Mixed gang rise up.
I think
Yeah.
it is, yeah, hell yeah. Did you spend your
Wait, the
entire
book's
life
silent,
being
huh?
told? Did you ever spend your entire youth being told that you were your genetics are the future of the entire world? Because white people
Actually,
love to
yeah.
think it's really crazy.
Yeah, especially because I grew up like in such a white area that it
Yeah.
was like
Oh, you're
either
the
that
future.
you're
Yeah.
the future, especially when they're like, "Oh, you're the future because you look like you have blue eyes. That's the future we want
Yeah,
here."
yeah, yeah.
Jesus.
It's really weird. Mixed rise. Okay, so but my last mixed tradition, it is literally the McDonald's French fry. Just
Yeah.
those perfect golden yellow fries
Mhm.
with the salt granules glinting in the sunlight. That is a
It's a
perfect
classic.
that is a perfect food product that was designed on a New Jersey Turnpike. I love it.
um, let's see. Okay, my favorite preparation, and I think this counts because it's technically a dumpling, but gnocchi.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does
Yeah,
count. I
That
often give
counts.
gnocchi in like the multiples that I have.
yeah. Okay, yeah, gnocchi fucking rules, and also you can do so much with it. You can put so many different sauces on it.
Absolutely.
Have you
You
ever
can
made
make it very
ricotta
savory. You can make
gnocchi?
it very sweet. What?
Have you
Ricotta.
ever made ricotta gnocchi?
No, I haven't.
You just do it with ricotta, eggs, parmesan, and flour, and it's
Ooh.
super fluffy and it's
Mm.
super light. And the reason I make that is because I don't have a potato masher,
Yeah.
and it's really good. I make it with pesto, so highly recommend.
That sounds
Ooh.
so good. Okay, hell yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Uh, Another one that on the opposite end of the spectrum, because like gnocchi is, kind of nice. Um, so on the opposite end of the spectrum, loaded mashed potatoes from any number of bad restaurants. These include Chili's, Applebee's, and so on. Just like their version of it, where they serve it to you with a bunch of bacon and cheese and sour, like every bad for you thing that you could put on a potato all at once. Yeah, that shit fucking
I respect
rules.
it,
Unfortunately,
except the fact that Chili's got rid of their skillet queso, and so I can't respect them anymore.
wait, they did?
Yeah.
When? Why?
Now, I don't know, but I love a Chili's on a road trip or the Chili's
Mm.
at O'Hare. And whenever I go to O'Hare, I'd have an entire skillet queso, and then I'd hate myself, and it was awesome. And now they just have it, so it's like typical melted cheese you could get at, like a roller rink.
Depressing.
And then number one of all time for me was this one brisket baked potato I had in Houston, Texas, in I want to say 2011. And it was like from a guy who like had his own like apparatus for like making brisket, like his own big like smokehouse thing, or like
Wow.
it was separate. It wasn't in a building, but he would also like travel around the city and like make these in various spots. And so like I was dating someone who lived in Houston at the time, so I only ever got to experience this baked potato once, but it has stuck with me ever since. I wish to have it again. Maybe like, that'll be if I am stricken with a horrible disease, that'll be my make a wish.
Oh
So
my
obviously I'm the
god.
age for make a wish.
I
Um,
don't want you to get a horrible disease. I don't think that would be good.
but I want the potato.
There's
Okay,
a
I'll trade you my narcolepsy for that potato.
there's a book called The Kawagami Food Detectives that is all
Hmm.
about detectives that use context clues and your description of dishes to recreate a meal that has changed your life that you will no longer be able to eat, that you can't find
Ooh.
anymore. Yeah, it's a cute book. Anyway,
My
Kat.
my friend did that for gingerbread cookies that I used to have as a kid.
Oh my god, that's so nice. Food is beautiful. I love to eat food.
The it's the universal language.
Yeah. Food, when it hits, you feel no pain. Except
True.
for me, because I have a lot of digestive tract issues.
Oh, well. But even then, you got some lag time. When it
Food.
hits, it still
I
feels great.
That's true. When it hits, no pain. Hours
Yeah.
later, no guarantees on how that's gonna continue.
All right. Well, I think that's pretty much it for
Oh, you guys
today.
didn't want to know my other two potatoes.
Oh, I
Tell
thought you
me
had
the
already said
potato.
yours. Yeah. What are your other two?
Oh, you guys didn't want to know.
No, now I want to
Wow.
know. Now more than ever, I want to know.
In
Okay,
a
fine.
year, unlike any other, we need to know what are Kat's two other potato options.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's a crawfish potato. Like, you know what I'm talking about, like the new potato.
Yes. No.
Awesome.
I like
Crawfish
had
is
that
one
on
of
my
my
list, and then I put like can't use it because you already did.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I get it like so I haven't worked out since the campaign started and I'm excited to get back into the gym. So I got all my endorphins from really spicy food. So when I'd be really, really sad, Ben would take me to a crawfish boil. And I would like be crying and really happy. So potato at the bottom bag of crawfish. When I went to space camp in high school, they had hash browns in the morning that taste like McDonald's hash browns, but they were in the shape of stars, which made them taste better.
Ooh, that is
Yeah.
not really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love a shoestring fry with A1 sauce.
A1 sauce on fries
Yeah,
is
there's
so
an idea.
fucking good.
Yeah, you're the
Yes.
first person I've literally ever talked to that gets it. Thank you.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it tastes good with potato. When you have, when I used to eat meat, I can't eat meat because of my digestive problems. When you used to have steak with A1 sauce, you have mashed potatoes on the side. The mashed potatoes and the A1 taste so fucking good together. And like,
Yeah, I don't even use A1 on steak. I pretty much just use it on fries and then also fish sticks that I make if I'm really
yes,
hungover.
yes,
Because
yes,
like the thing is like vinegar is a very underrated ingredient.
so fucking real,
It is
real
Yeah.
as
the
hell.
underpinning of every single incredible condiment,
Yep.
and without it, life would be bad.
That's very true. Oh, hey, look, it's David.
That's my husband, David.
Yeah, friend of the show. Friend of the show, David.
Yes, he always shows up in the background of our weekly staff meeting because he comes
Yeah.
home from work like around
Yeah.
that
So
time.
that also makes him friend of the secret show, the show that no one gets to see and no one should see,
Yes.
because it's too real. It's too real for the
It's us
airwaves.
losing our minds on a weekly basis. How do we keep the company going? What the fuck? But we do. But we do.
You do. Nevertheless, she persisted, and he did
Yep.
too.
Yeah. No,
It's
no,
2016.
Aftermath is a woman. But anyway.
Aftermath Conda forever.
Uh,
All right. Do we have any
Okay,
more questions, or are we
no,
heading
we're gonna.
out of the show now?
Kat,
Okay.
where can people find you?
So you can find me on fucking look me up on social media. If you want to support my work and general existence, I do a Patreon where I post pictures of my cat. If you're on desktop, you can change it from $1 to whatever you want, but $1 is fine. It's patreon.com/cat, KATM, as in Marie, which is my middle name, ABU. Patreon.com/CatMAbu. If you want to learn about our new venture, especially as we're in the soft launch phase, you can go to kapow.works, kapow like the comic book, and you can also donate there. Yeah, I have a cat named Heater. Even if you don't
good cat.
subscribe to the Patreon, she's great. She's orange. She's my best friend.
Yeah. All right.
And
Well,
go
this
look
has
up
been.
Tim Onion. He's great.
Yes, Tim Onion is also very good. May have heard of him from such places as The Onion, which he invented. That's why it's his
I don't know
last
what
name.
that
Yeah. Anyway,
Ella, what are you upset about?
this has
Let me
been
see Ella,
Aftermath
let me see
Hours.
Ella.
Oh, wait, we got.
Let me see.
She
We got
just
some
ran
Ella
out of the
action.
room. She's doing this thing where she's trying to get me to follow her, but I'm changed. I'm literally changed to the desk right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But in a moment, you won't be, because this has been Aftermath Hours, the weekly podcast of aftermath.site. If you like what you heard, you can subscribe on the website, which I just give you the URL to. We record every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time live on Twitch, and we will do it again next week, or die trying. In any
Can I
case,
respond to one more thing in chat before you leave?
Yeah, sure, fuck
as
it.
soon as I say it, you need to just end the stream
Okay,
because
okay.
I just want to drop this. Someone
All right,
asked
Chris,
my
get ready to
opinions
end the
on-
stream.
Yeah. Someone asked my opinions on Abu, the monkey from Aladdin. I
Yeah.
often go by Kat Abu. I've been doing that since I was like a little baby because my last name is 11 letters long. My dad's name is actually Aladdin. So there you go. Okay, that's it.
Whoa. Yeah, end stream.